The signs were there from the very beginning. Two people, both longing to be chosen, each of them carrying old wounds that quietly shaped every moment between them. In today's video, I'm going to break down the relationship between Patrick and Kacie, where it went wrong, what both of them missed, and how their insecurities made them feel close, yet never truly connected. Also, for this video, I will be using clips from the first 6 episodes. Hi, I'm Dr. Pam, therapist and relationship counselor, and I am so passionate about helping you grow both in your relationships and personally. And if that is something that you would like more of, I would love for you to subscribe so we can stay connected and keep growing together. And I also want to mention that I am aware that Love is Blind is a heavily edited show, so my comments are based solely on what we see in front of us so that I can provide you with relationship insights. Okay, let's start off immediately with the growth work that I saw early on with both Patrick and Kacie. Let's start with Kacie.
I dated my high school boyfriend on and off for like 10 years. I've never not been cheated on. I think that this is what I need. The last guy I dated was in social media. It was not good. It was just like there was another hot blonde always on the horizon. It ended up making me crazy because I was like, wait, why don't I look like that girl though?
During those 10 years from high school to 27, that shaped much of her understanding of love and self-worth. I am assuming that she was cheated on in the 10-year relationship and people that she saw during the off periods in that 10-year relationship. So she is carrying a repeated pattern of betrayal and emotional instability. What I think is important for her to understand is, what does Kacie make of that 10-year pattern? Has she reflected on what kept her going back, or what felt familiar about that push and pull dynamic? When someone spends that much time in an unstable relationship, it can shape what feels normal in love. Unpredictability can start to feel like passion, and consistency can start to feel unfamiliar. She also shared that when a man cheated, it was often because another hot young blonde came along. That has a huge impact, not only because of the betrayal itself, but because of what she internalized. She said she would look at those women and think, why don't I look like that? This shows us how deeply those experiences have affected her sense of worth and desirability.
Dating, to me, I feel like I put a lot of effort in, and sometimes I don't get that effort in return.
Well, that is Patrick's growth work to focus on, because when you give more than you receive in a relationship, in the long term, the only thing that will come from that is growing resentment, which is always toxic in a relationship. So Patrick needs to ask himself, why does he give more than he receives? Well, there could be a lot of reasons. Maybe you're simply a nice person and a kind person. Maybe you're seeking approval, which would make sense for Patrick given that he has shared this.
My major insecurity in the past was being an Asian American man in a predominantly Caucasian area. I grew up as the only Asian kid in class. For some reason, the uncomfortability of interracial dating has definitely limited my ability to develop connections with women, to just be loved for who I am versus my ethnicity or how I look. That is my biggest dream and hope.
So all of us bring our own challenges into relationships, parts of ourselves we are still learning to manage. My concern for Patrick is that he could undervalue his worth because he wants to be in a relationship. Given his history, I imagine that hope of connection feels especially meaningful to him. So when Anna left the pods, I'm sure you saw all of that. It likely wasn't just disappointment, it was the loss of what that connection represented. Finally, the possibility of being seen and chosen, even though they were just starting to get to know each other. But that's where Patrick could lose himself, focusing more on being wanted rather than whether he truly wants the other person or whether she's a good fit for him. The real growth work for him will come from slowing down and asking himself, do I actually feel emotionally safe and seen here? rather than just, does she want me? I'm not sure that that's the only place that he comes from, but that would be my concern for Patrick.
She sings in Korean.
What?
So she's doing concerts around Korea.
Whoa. Have you ever been to Korea?
I haven't. My sister's kind of this cute little blonde white girl that is into that.
Okay. I like that.
You could almost hear Patrick wheels turning. He's thinking, oh, good. Her family is open to cultural differences, so maybe Kacie will be open to me. It's completely understandable that he would feel that way given the rejection that he has experienced. But this is where I worry that he's approaching connection from a place of hoping to be accepted rather than asking himself if he truly feels connected. Patrick seems like someone who comes from a place of genuineness, but when you date from a need to be wanted, you can easily slip into self-abandonment.
I'm going to Colombia this year.
I work remotely, so
Okay.
I have the flexibility to travel as well.
Go. Maybe you can come to Colombia.
Ooh, that's fast, but I kind of like it. It's kind of spicy.
Well, we might get married soon, you know?
You're right.
Remember me, Patrick.
Kacie's comment about traveling as husband and wife gives him hope. However, when he comes from a place of hope, it's possible that he is sacrificing his needs, as I have already suggested. Kacie, on the other hand, she could simply be playful when she says that they might get married soon and don't forget me, Patrick. But as I was watching this from the very beginning, I began to sense a lack of boundaries in Kacie. So far, they are very subtle. I'll point them out later in the video. So next, Kacie asks Patrick if physical attraction was important to him before Love is Blind. They both admit that it was, and Patrick opens up about something so much deeper, his insecurities around his ethnicity and how he has felt rejected because of it. It's such a tender moment. Watching him hesitate and struggle to share that part of himself with Kacie was truly heartbreaking. Let's take a look at this moment of vulnerability in Patrick.
Do you think I should share it with you?
Yeah, I think you should.
Like my ethnicity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well.
Or where are your parents from?
Yeah, well. Let me think this through for a second.
Okay.
I found myself wondering why Kacie wanted Patrick to share his ethnicity when she had already communicated that she was open to all ethnicities. It seemed to put him in a very vulnerable position. His hesitation and his discomfort in that moment were so hard to watch. When he finally shared where his parents are from, Kacie reassured him that both she and her family are open to cultural differences, which likely brought him some sense of relief, even if in that moment it still carried a lot of emotional weight for him. Unfortunately, both Patrick and Kacie struggle with needing to feel accepted physically, though for very different reasons. Patrick, because he's been judged for his ethnicity and attractiveness, and Kacie, because she feels she's been cheated on because of the next hot blonde that came along. And there is a lot of talk about appearance between the two of them.
I order you an espresso martini, slide it over to you from the bartender. Yeah. And then you just like look at me like, damn, that's a hot ass guy. Just a hot ass dude right there.
You could be lying to me. I can't see you, you know?
You could be lying to me.
I could be lying to you.
And again,
Do you feel like you got like really hot?
I still wasn't like the hottest girl in high school, but
The hottest girl in high school. Remember I told you about like me being Asian?
yeah.
It was always like, oh, he's good looking for an Asian guy. He's that good looking Asian guy, you know?
I'll just think of you as the good looking Patrick guy.
Wow, that's sweet of you.
and again,
So you know what my cousin always tells me?
What?
He was just like, dude, you're the hot girl that doesn't know she's hot.
and yet again.
They feel like we're just gonna be
Very
super
compatible.
hot for each other.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think so too.
It seems like Patrick feels the need to convince others, Kacie, in this moment, that he's attractive, almost as if he has to prove his desirability. There's so much conversation around hotness in their exchange with each other that I can't help but wonder why he doesn't see it as a red flag, especially when he struggles to answer this question.
We agree on a lot of things. We agree on basically everything.
Yeah, what specifically?
Man, dude, I gotta recall the date, dude. Sorry, man. Sorry, dude, it's been a long day.
I mean, maybe he couldn't answer it because he was tired and it was a long day, and maybe some of it was edited out. We don't have access to all of the interactions between Kacie and Patrick, but I would think that he could come up with one or two things that they genuinely connect on. And that could be why Kacie asked Patrick this question.
So you like me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very confident.
Yeah, of course I
don't
like
think
you.
me.
Of course I like you.
Okay.
Of course I like you.
Kacie seems unsure if Patrick likes her, and it's actually understandable. From what we've seen, even with all the editing, their conversations have mostly stayed on the surface. There hasn't been much emotional depth or genuine curiosity about each other. Both of them, as we know, are coming from a place of insecurity. Patrick wanting to feel desired and not rejected because of his ethnicity, and Kacie still carrying the pain of being cheated on when another hot blonde came along. They both want to be loved for who they are on the inside, and they should want that. But physical acceptance still feels like the measure that they are using to gauge whether they are lovable.
I don't know how you fully feel about me, I guess. And I'm just a girl that I do need a lot of reassurance. It's scary for me too.
What scares you the most?
Your connections with other people. I obviously don't know anything.
I had to cut off a connection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So Kacie shares that she needs a lot of reassurance. We know that's likely because she has been cheated on so much. She shares that she felt scared about Patrick's other connections because for her, that's a trigger. It reminds her of being betrayed. But the way she's seeking reassurance won't actually give her what she needs. Real reassurance doesn't come from constant confirmation from the other person. It comes from feeling secure in the relationship itself. Because Kacie spent 10 years in an on and off relationship, she's never really had the experience of leaning into security in a relationship. She's more familiar with the anxiety of wondering if someone will stay. So now she's trying to soothe that fear through words or attention rather than through genuine emotional connection and safety. True reassurance grows from connection, shared values, vulnerability, trust, and knowing that when conflict happens, you can repair it together. That's what calms the fear, not asking to be reassured, but building a bond that naturally makes you feel safe and secure. Next, Kacie asks Patrick what he's most worried about with her. He tells her that he doesn't feel her passion and questions how much she really wants this.
If I didn't want it, I would have walked out 2 days ago.
Oh, you wanted to walk out 2 days ago?
Yeah. I'm not gonna bullshit to you to remain on a TV show. I just keep thinking it'd just be easy to get my phone and go home. So if I didn't feel like there was this connection, then I would probably be leaving. I've been through a lot of heartbreak. Maybe that this is what I needed to change.
I'm so glad you told me that.
Of course, I can't know this for sure, but it seems that Kacie's insecurity is actually making Patrick feel more secure, and that's not how healthy connection works. When she shares that she was almost ready to go home 2 days ago but decided to stay, he doesn't ask the deeper questions that could help both of them grow. Questions like, what do you need in a relationship to feel connected and secure beyond words of reassurance? And why did you think that you needed to come on Love is Blind to change? What were you hoping to change? And what made you feel like you wanted to leave? These questions could have opened up a real conversation about emotional needs and fears. Instead, it feels like her vulnerability is reassuring him rather than helping them understand each other more deeply. In a healthy dynamic, sharing insecurities invites awareness and connection. But when those insecurities remain a blind spot, they end up driving the relationship instead of growth and understanding. So next, Kacie shares that her boyfriend told her to go on Love is Blind because it could change her life.
You didn't leave your boyfriend when he told you that?
No, I didn't.
Well, I mean, what was going through your mind?
I should have left him many times, Patrick. I guess defending him in a way, he just was like, you should go do it, we'll change your life, and I'll just be here when you're back.
You're gonna have to set a really hard boundary with him.
I know.
You're gonna have to figure that one out for sure.
I figured it out.
So Patrick does a good job and asks her what was going through her mind and why didn't you leave. Kacie actually never really answers the question. Instead, she defends her ex, framing his behavior as supportive, saying that he encouraged her to do the show and that he would be there when she returned. That response reveals a lot. It suggests that she is still viewing the relationship through a lens of loyalty rather than clarity. Hearing how much she still talks about that past relationship, it's possible and likely that she still is psychologically entangled in it. Her emotional boundaries between past and present are blurred, and if she still has one foot in the past, she will not be able to step fully in the present in a relationship, and that will hurt someone. When Patrick replies that she'll need to set a strong boundary, he's not wrong, but he stops short of real exploration. This was an opportunity to ask her why she feels the need to protect or justify someone who repeatedly hurt her. Without the deeper curiosity, the conversation stays on the surface without understanding the emotional tie that keeps her connected to her past relationship.
If we get engaged, I don't really care to tell him. All I actually do is care about you right now, so.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's marriage. It's going to be a really, really deep commitment.
You might have a text too.
I won't. I ended everything that I had before I came here. I didn't make up a backup plan.
No, I don't have a backup plan. It was over either way.
It's understandable that Patrick wonders if Kacie has a backup plan. He is sensing red flags, but he needs to explore them more deeply instead of just accepting her reassurance that it's over. You can see how uncomfortable he feels in this conversation, and for good reason. When Kacie says, "You might have a text too," that comment tells us something important. It likely comes from her past relationships where being cheated on or sensing that her partner was communicating with someone else became her normal. That comment isn't really only about Patrick. It's about her history of betrayal and the lens that she views relationships. Patrick could have slowed down and asked her, "Why do you assume that I might have a text too?" That could help her reflect on how her past is shaping her present fears. And when she admits, "I should have left him many times," that was another opening to go deeper. He could have asked, "What kept you there? What feels different now that makes you believe it's truly over?" Those questions wouldn't just clarify her story, they would help Patrick see whether she's emotionally available or still entangled in her past.
This is a really big commitment though, you know?
Are you concerned about my commitment to you?
Maybe a little bit, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know, it's just like so serious.
If you want me to block him immediately, and not tell him, I will do that.
You can let him know or whatever, you know.
I don't need to let him know.
I've had a lot of people screw me over before. So.
I'm not gonna screw you over. Maybe you should lighten up on me just a little.
It's a valid concern that Patrick feels Kacie isn't taking this seriously. I wish he had explained why he felt that way, what specifically made him doubt her commitment, because that could have opened up more of an honest dialogue between them. Still, when Kacie responds with, "I'll block him if you'd like," that's not the healthiest approach. It puts the emotional labor and decision making on Patrick, when in truth, the responsibility to close that door belongs to Kacie. What Patrick needs is to see that Kacie already has made that choice for herself, that she's clear, confident, and emotionally finished with that relationship. Instead, by asking him to ease up on her, she shifts the focus away from self-accountability into subtle blame. The real reassurance would come not from promising to block her ex, but from showing how and why she has already moved on.
I really like you.
I really like you too.
I want you to love me, but I don't know if I can fully love you until I get to like touch you.
That's concerning. It's honest, but it's concerning. My thought is, why go on a show built around emotional connection and the possibility of marriage without physical contact if physical attraction and touch are what determine how you feel about someone? What Kacie is describing makes perfect sense for her in the outside world, but Love is Blind is specifically designed to challenge that pattern. It raises the question of whether or not she's truly ready to build connection from the inside out, or if she's still searching for reassurance through physical chemistry.
Oh my gosh, Patrick, we were changing.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you have a landing strip," and now that's been the whole talk.
Shut
I
up.
swear. I got waxed before I came here, and
Wow. Really?
yeah, I wanted to make sure I was like ready for my man.
Kacie seems to be struggling with insecurity in her connection with Patrick. She's already said that she needs a lot of reassurance, and it appears that she's now turning to sexual or seductive talk as a way to pull him closer, to feel desired rather than feeling uncertain. This can happen when someone equates sexual attention with emotional safety. It's a coping strategy, often unconscious, but to regain a sense of control or connection when someone feels anxious about feeling wanted. But rather than creating closeness, it often creates tension or discomfort, especially if the emotional foundation isn't there yet. In this moment, it feels less like genuine flirtation and more like an attempt to bridge insecurity through seduction. And that's what makes it uncomfortable to watch.
So if you wanted me to like go get it off or shave it, I could go do that, you know? Yeah, it would take like literally one pull.
That would be cool. For sure.
Patrick looks so uncomfortable in that moment. It's as if he wants to crawl out of his skin, and understandably, he doesn't know how to respond except to say that would be cool.
Okay.
But I don't sweat it, you know?
It's not that much work. If you look like a baby seal, you want me to look like one.
Yeah. That's funny. I'm just talking about like my actual skin. Like,
I know.
oh, okay.
And I want to give you what you need.
So Kacie has said more than once that she wants to give Patrick what he needs, and that's a phrase worth pausing on. I would have encouraged Patrick to ask her what she means by that, because right now it comes across as an attempt to earn love through meeting his needs rather than expressing it on her own. It can sound almost transactional. Choose me and I'll give you everything you want, especially in a sexual context. That dynamic often comes from insecurity, not manipulation in a malicious sense, but a learned pattern, believing that love is something you secure by pleasing rather than something you build through mutual understanding. If Patrick doesn't address it, the relationship could easily fall into an imbalance where her worth becomes tied to what she gives, not who she is.
I'm probably gonna start kind of slow with you. I'll kiss you from your neck all the way down. And then I'll probably put my mouth all over you. And then I don't know how long I can do that for before I'm just gonna wanna sit on you.
Well, you know I cut a lot out of that scene, but if you watched it in its entirety, you saw it end with Kacie saying that she's going to love Patrick and fight for him. While he has stayed mostly quiet, earlier I mentioned that Kacie seems to struggle with boundaries, and this is a moment that really shows us that. I cut a lot out of her verbal sexual seduction, which makes this even more telling. It appears that Kacie is coming from a place of wanting so badly to be chosen that she's using sexual talk to pull Patrick closer, hoping it will secure his interest. But when desire is used to fill an emotional void, it often blurs the line between genuine connection and self-protection. What she's really communicating isn't confidence. It is fear of not being enough without offering something in return. And that's the painful part. Her attempts to be desired may actually be coming from a deeper fear of being rejected. So moving forward, Patrick proposed and she said yes. And this is the comment he made that I want to share with you because it is so very important.
I'm glad you made me work for it.
I'm glad you worked for it. That literally, that was the game changer. Do you know that? It was like, yeah, she's not gonna give up on me.
I'm gonna love you really hard and give you everything I've got.
Patrick shares that Kacie working hard for him was a game changer because he concluded that she won't give up on him, which is so heartbreaking given that we know what is yet to come. From what we know about Patrick, it seems he rarely felt pursued or deeply wanted in past relationships. So Kacie's effort likely touched a very tender place in him, the part that longs to feel chosen. But what's happening here is a bit more complex. Patrick is equating her intensity with genuine care, when in reality, her working hard for it, as he describes it, may be coming from a place of anxiety, not connection with Patrick, not confident regarding her feelings toward him as well. So her working hard for it, as Patrick said, can feel like devotion, but it's actually rooted in fear. Her fear of rejection and not feeling like she's enough, as well as his fear of not wanting to be rejected and not feeling like he's enough. So this dynamic shows us how two people and their insecurities can momentarily fit together. Her overextending meets his longing to be wanted. It feels powerful in the moment, but it's built on fragility, not a relationship foundation. So moving forward, they met each other in person, and then we know what happens next. So let's break this down.
He's not a bad-looking guy in any sense, but he deserves somebody that is so obsessed with him.
That's not you?
No.
So as we just saw, Kacie says that Patrick deserves someone who is obsessed with him and that that's not her. What is really revealing about this is how quickly she came to that conclusion. Before there was any opportunity for any real depth or emotional foundation that could have come between them. So it does suggest that her feelings in the pods were based more on wanting to be wanted.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. It's okay.
Patrick,
Yeah.
they're like making it about, or like asking me if it's anything to do with what you look like, and I just like, no.
Kacie shifts the blame, saying that whoever was interviewing her made it seem like her reasons for wanting to leave were about Patrick's appearance. She reassures him that it's not about how he looks and then tells him that she loves him and she needs to leave, but she isn't direct about leaving him, only leaving the show. The mixed messages are so difficult to watch. She says, I love you, hugs him, kisses him, tells him she doesn't know how he'll get her number, and even jumps into his arms before walking away. Patrick will have a hard time processing this because in this moment, it's emotionally confusing, and it shows her own internal confusion. And again, there's a clear lack of boundaries, both emotional and physical. Emotionally, she isn't honest about wanting to leave, and physically, she continues to express affection that doesn't align with how she actually feels. And she might tell herself that she didn't want to be direct with Patrick because she didn't want to hurt him. But here's the thing. When we say that we don't want to hurt someone, it's also because we can't bear how it feels for us to cause someone pain. That discomfort can make us avoid honesty, but avoidance usually ends up hurting the other person even more. In this case, Kacie's need to protect herself from guilt took precedence over giving Patrick the clarity he deserved. Looking back, the signs were there all along. Kacie's struggle with boundaries, her constant need for reassurance, and her pattern of using seduction or caretaking to feel chosen all pointed to someone still entangled in her past and unsure how to build emotional safety and connection in the present. Patrick's deep longing to be accepted and seen made him overlook red flags, mistaking intensity for connection and convincing for love, as he said, was a game changer for him. From the start, their insecurities quietly aligned. Her need to be wanted met with his need to feel desired, creating chemistry but not stability. What we witnessed wasn't a lack of care, but a lack of awareness. Both were chasing connection from fear rather than security, and that's why ultimately it wouldn't last. Well, that is a wrap on this video. There are more Love is Blind videos coming your way, so stay tuned. See you next time.